Laura hit it right on the nail. Last semester I came and spoke to Alex Taylor's class. I think his was more about small business owners and how to structure your websites and help your companies move. And this one I think is more focused on e-commerce, right? E-commerce strategies. Okay, so it was the same as last semester, but what I went over was really basic Google Analytics, Google AdWords, and then social media integration. We're going to get a lot deeper into it this time. We're going to go into the data mining side rather than just setting it up and kind of how to read it. I'm going to actually teach you guys how to draw conclusions and just give you an idea of the kinds of conclusions that you're going to want to be making. Because there's a lot of things that you don't know you can find out just by looking at the analytics, and it's a lot more advanced, and they don't give you the basic reports of the show. And if you guys, raise your hand if you have any experience with Google Analytics. 1, 2, 3, 4. So most of you guys, this is going to be just a crash course. It's not something you're going to want to be able to memorize and actually comprehend. I just want to give you an idea of the kinds of things that you want to be thinking about and how you can use analytics in the future once you get more time. Does anybody have any experience with Google advertising? You got it. So she has both. Everybody else is kind of new. So I will go slow. I have actual real-world examples. These are the clients pages that I maintain. I currently maintain 25 plus clients, Google AdWords, Google Analytics, and social media programs. And I have to use these programs to try to draw conclusions because I meet with them on a monthly basis, and they expect me to have reports on why their websites are doing well, why they're not doing well, how they can improve. Because sometimes you'll find that clients get upset because they're not doing well. And if I can't accurately read these reports, then it's basically my fault, even though it's not really my fault. But they blame you for it and they'll fire you. So it's really important that you guys understand how this works. To start things off, let's see if this will work for me. Yeah, I'm going to explain what data mining is, okay? It is a buzzword and it's usually misused. Data mining is actually not supposed to be used when you're using websites. There's a different word for that. I don't even know what it is. I think it's called discovery or machine learning or something like that. But I use data mining. And basically what it is the computational process of discovering patterns using large data sets involving methods at the intersection of web design, social media, and online advertising. And yes, I copied and pasted that from Wikipedia. So thank you, Wikipedia, because I can't memorize that. Essentially, you look at big pieces of information and you turn it into data. So it's not just raw numbers. You can actually draw conclusions and put them into words and make changes in your company. That's data mining. The point is, you want to get a better ROI. You want to make more money, and you want to reduce the cost that it took you to acquire that business. So that is why data mining is so important. There's an article on Target back in 2008 that they wrote. They were one of the first people to get into the data mining field. They had one of their employees look at pregnant women, expecting women, and they said, how can we sell more to expecting women? And he looked at the data and he said, well, 9 months out, they buy a book called XXX by this author. And 90% of the people who bought that book 9 months later were pregnant. And they said, that's a really big piece of information. Why? Anybody know why that's important to know?
So they can send them direct mail.
So they can send them direct mail, and what would you send them direct mail of 9 months later?
Crayons, baby clothes,
Clothes, diapers. What they found was, 9 months later, the people that bought that book bought a whole ton of diapers, 3 months worth, in the first visit to the store. The diapers that they bought for those first 3 months, they never changed diaper companies. I don't know if, did you change diaper companies?
Only if there's a sale.
Only there's a sale. So they weren't changing, ever. So it was really important to sell to the expecting mothers. The first sale had to be a brand that they wanted. So Target started using direct mail and their data miners to figure out who was going to be expecting, and then they tried to get them to buy the most expensive diaper that they were selling because they knew that if they were going to buy that most expensive brand, they'd never go back. So it's really important. They made millions of dollars with that one bit of data, and that's just one of their SKUs. They have thousands upon thousands of different products that they can use data miners for. And it's not one person's job. It's very complex. The steps to data mining. The first thing you have to do is you have to create a visual strategy of what your online presence looks like. Basically, the online presence is invisible. We don't know exactly what it looks like. So people that are trying to understand it want to have a visual representation of what this is going to look like. I have an example of what that looks like that our graphic designer, in fact, he's going to sit in and just listen in on these for notes in the future, but I'll show you what a visual strategy looks like. After that, you want to start generating this data, okay? And I'm going to show you some tools that help you generate the data. Once it's generated, obviously you have to analyze it, and then you have to draw conclusions. Finally, you have to report those findings so that the business owner, which may or may not be you guys in the future, I don't know if you're going to be consulting or owning companies, you want to have those conclusions. That's the final step, is reporting on a monthly basis so that you can continue moving forward with your company. All right, so I mentioned that I had a bit of online strategy creation that I was going to show you. Basically, you want to include the 4 levels of acquiring a new client, which is advertising, and that's how you find new clients. That's the difference between marketing and advertising. Advertising is when you find new clients that don't know about you, okay? Marketing is when you basically speak to the people who know that you exist and you try to turn them into sales. Conversion is the 3rd step, and usually that's going to be done on websites. And then the last step is remarketing. So once they bought from you, how do you get them to come back? That is the biggest thing about creating this online strategy. So I'm going to show you what we did and what we show to most of the clients that do business with us. It looks like this. Okay, so the advertising stage is up at the top. We started with Facebook ads. Let me see if I can zoom. Not too much. So we start with Facebook advertising. It lets me figure out, lets me say, I want to advertise to people between the ages of 25 and 30 who are mothers, who have 3 kids, who like to read books about babies, who like to read books about dogs, and who watch Oprah. I can advertise to that specific demographic and psychographic on Facebook. So I can basically start the lead generation with who I think my target market is. Then it leads into the Facebook page, and the Facebook page is going to be posting Google Hangouts, and that will lead to the Google Plus page, which drops them down into here, and it gets really complicated. But essentially, this is the advertising stage, this is the marketing stage, this is conversion where they get into the website, and this is remarketing. What platform is going to bring them back to the website? For this specific client, we said LinkedIn. And that's because they were selling B2B. And it's great for B2B. People who are selling to other businesses, business owner to business owner, it's good. LinkedIn is the best way to do it. But if you're selling to consumers, you're not going to want to have LinkedIn down here. You're probably going to want to have something like Facebook. Those seem to be the best social platforms for remarketing to people. But that is what the online strategy is going to look like. Every company that I do business with, it looks completely different. And that's the most important thing to learn is, when a business owner comes to me, they say, I want a Facebook page. And I say, why do you want a Facebook page? And they said, everyone else has a Facebook page. The guy next to me, he's in the same company, he's a competitor of mine, he's got a Facebook page. And I say, what are you trying to sell? Who are you trying to sell to? How old are they? Where are they? What product is it you're selling? These are really important questions because based on the answers they give me, I change this up. And a lot of times they don't even get a Facebook page at all. In this case, I don't even know if they are using Facebook page in this case. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move on. Now you know what the online strategy looks like. I'm going to get into analytics. What we're going to go over is the traffic flow, and that is where, once they get to the website part, the conversion stage, analytics is great for analyzing what pages they were on, what keywords they used to get there, how long they were staying, how many pages they viewed, where they were from, all kinds of things, and what they came from. So I can judge when they get to that level, up to that point, how has this online strategy been working? And analytics is great for doing this. And I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about. So, I got here. Oh no, I'm just going to log in. So I'm going to log into one of our clients' accounts. I have the name blocked out, but it's going to show you. This is a company that is selling education. It's a flight academy based out of Florida. I'm going to get to analytics. Log in. Bear with me. I forgot to do this when I was getting ready. This is what a basic advertising account looks like. All the different clients are on the left here, but I'm going to go to analytics, which is basically the back end where they report how many people came to your guys' website. Okay. So this is a basic analytics report. Right here at the very top, you guys are going to see the visits. Those blue things are little counts of visits for that day. And then it drops down and it breaks down them into numbers. Unique visitors, page views, pages per visit, bounce rate, these are all important things, but this general report is no good because I can't draw conclusions from this. There's not enough information that's hedging itself. So all I can see is some people came to the site, but I don't know how many people actually bought something. I don't know what pages they were going to. If you're having success, I can't tell you why. I can just tell you got a whole bunch of traffic, but I can't tell you why it is or is not successful. So creating an advanced report is the most important thing to do here. This is a report that I personally made for this company, okay? It's extremely advanced because it uses 2 different things when reporting. It's not just visits, but it's visits and bounce rate by the traffic type. Right here, it shows the traffic type. This is how many people came from that, and this is the bounce rate. Why is it important to have 3 different things shown?
What's bounce rate?
Oh, bounce rate, good question. Bounce rate is when someone comes to the website and then leaves without engaging. They leave within 1 minute, they don't go to a new page. Basically, it's bad news. The higher the percent, the worse results that it is. The lower the percent, the better results. So you want it to be super low. Below 50% means that you're getting there. Below 30% is really good. Below 20 is excellent. If it's over 50, you know that you're doing something really wrong. So, based on that information, why would it be important to have not just visits, but bounce rate and where they came from? Anybody, just raise your hand.
So you know specifically like what you need to fix or what type of people you're getting?
Yeah, exactly. So you can draw a conclusion essentially. It's not just a piece of raw data, now it's something you can actually figure out. This is data mining. Right now I can tell you, people that we paid to come to this website with an ad, okay? 7,000 people came. And 90% of them, when they came, stayed. That's really important because the people that we're not paying to come to visit the website, the people that are just typing in and finding us, it's the same amount, a little more actually, and that's what organic is. This is people that just Google searched us and then came to our site. Similar amount of visits, but the bounce rate is 5 times higher. So that's telling me that the traffic that's finding us with their keywords is not targeted enough. But the ads that we're writing are targeted. Okay, so I've drawn a conclusion now. I know where the problem is. Our website's going off the wrong keywords. So we need to look at our advertising campaign and figure out what keywords we're using there that we're not using on the website. Then you can drop down. I mean, 40% is the difference between paid and organic visits. 40% of 7,000 people. Each person that comes to this academy is worth $60,000. If you can get 40% more people to stay on your website, each one of those people is worth $60,000, that's millions of dollars that you're throwing away. That's why data mining is really important.
What do you mean by paid? Like being paid to visit?
Oh, so paid is a Google ad. It's any form of advertising that you spend. Each time that they click on the ad, they get driven to the website, and you have to pay for that click. Or you have to pay for the impressions. It's not free. Essentially, when you type it in Google, you type in, let's just do it really quick. I'll show you what I'm talking about. We'll type in New York Flight Academy. Try to figure out who their competitors are, okay? Ready here, these are the ads on Google. If I click on this, it's gonna register as a paid visit. If I click below the ads, this is the organic, that's gonna register as an organic visit. So when the academy that we're working with shows up in this field, 50% of the people that click on it are leaving without doing anything else. They did not find value. But when we have an ad, 10% left. That's a huge difference. That tells me that our ads are getting more traffic that's targeted than our keyword placement, our website placement here. Sometimes you'll see companies that have placement on both ads and organic, right here, ATP. They're organic and they're paid. Okay? What's up?
When people pick one of those top ones that you paid for, could that maybe be sociological? Would it maybe show that they're more decisive and they were already more ready to buy something or engage?
It depends on the keyword that they're clicking on. And that's what is so important about data mining is I got to figure out what keywords they're clicking on. Because the ads are written on keywords, okay? So this keyword that I typed in is New York Flight Academy. That's the keyword. They wrote in their ad campaign, whenever someone types it in, I want an ad to pop up. These guys did too. But this company also told their website, whenever it pops up, I want my website to show up. Now, most of the time, websites can only touch on a certain percentage of keywords because you cannot get thousands of keywords built in and still get first page placement with the website. It's just not possible unless you're massive and you have thousands upon thousands of pages. So you have to pick and choose which ones are most important. Now, people will write ads on the remaining keywords because there are literally thousands of keywords that deal with flight academies that I could advertise on. So the ads have a much bigger variety of keywords than our website does. And based on their analytics, it tells me that their ads are finding a lot of keywords that are really relevant to the person that they're trying to sell to, that their website's not touching on well enough. So that's the kind of, did that answer your question?
Yeah, what I was just wondering though, like let's say it's the same keyword for the ads and the organic,
okay.
and they show up there, and I'm thinking like the consumer's sitting there, and maybe a more decisive consumer is just going to hit that top one anyway. They're like, let's get this done. When we get in there. Whereas the person who scrolls down to your more organic stuff, you know, the unpaid, maybe they'd be less decisive anyway, so they pop in, pop back out.
Possibly. That's possible. And the only way you can tell that is by looking at your traffic. And that might be, the thing that I have noticed personally from experience is that when people are extremely decisive, they've done a lot of research and they're going to be returning to websites. So they're not going to be a new visitor necessarily. They won't even be typing in general keywords. What I just did here is I'm just looking for general, who in this area is a flight academy. If I'm from New York, or I want to move to New York, usually if you type in a location, it's because you don't know anyone that's there and you're trying to do research. So that keyword, usually area-specific keywords are really for research. And when you're writing the ad, you want to know that chances are these guys don't know that you're here. That's why they're looking for something in that space. It's either where they want to move to or it's where they currently live. Other keywords like buy shoes online, that one, obviously those guys are ready to buy. So they're probably not going to be doing all this huge searching. They're probably going to click on the ad and go right into buying because they're ready to buy. And that's why the keywords that deal with the word buy are super expensive, because when they go to the website, those guys usually are ready to buy. They're not doing information search.
So you could buy keywords for anything. Like I guess I don't really understand how you get placed organically and through advertising.
Okay, so
you say keywords, but do you buy those keywords, or is it just the keywords that are listed inside of your website, or what?
Okay, it's a bidding system. And the way that the bidding system works is essentially you put a keyword into the section of your ad campaign that says, I want these keywords to show up when I advertise. And then you tell Google how much you're willing to pay if someone does, in fact, click on your ad. And it's a bidding system. So if your competitors are all saying, I want this keyword, obviously only 3 can pop up at the top here. It's a bidding war. Who's willing to pay the most? And whoever's willing to pay the most is the one that gets that placement. But it's not always whoever has the highest bid. Google has an algorithm that also takes into effect what the bounce rate was. So if you're paying a ton on your ads, but everybody goes to your website, hates it, and it's a super high bounce rate, then Google's going to punish you and they're going to make your ad cost more if you want to get that top placement. So what I have to pay for a keyword is not the same as what every other website has to pay for. It changes depending on where I'm driving them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for the advertising ones. What about for the organic ones?
For organic listing, how do you get up there? There's a whole bunch of things. You can't just put in, well, it used to be in the late 90s, whatever keywords you put into the website, it would just show up. But now Google has a huge algorithm that punishes people because people started keyword spamming, and that basically means they would copy and paste the same keyword thousands of times into the code where you couldn't actually see it on the website. So the person going to your website had no idea that you were literally typing in 10,000. I've seen someone type in the keyword social media 100,000 times. 100,000 times. They showed up on Google, first page, position 1 for 2 days, got penalized and kicked off the internet. Their whole website is no longer indexed. It's a page rank of NA, which means Google has found out that you were keyword spamming and punished you. So keywords are not the way you do it anymore. Now, it's what we call a page rank. Google basically uses your website as score, and it's based on a large variety of things, not just what keywords you put in the section. It's based on how many pages you have, how many people come to your website, what the bounce rate was like, a lot of things dealing with the analytics that we're going to be going over here. They give you a percentage score. Okay, another thing that's really big right now is design. Is the design cutting edge, or is it a template? Google takes that into account. They also take into account how big your social media following is, but not just any social media following. Certain platforms will give a much bigger, higher score than other platforms do, because they are more integrated with what Google's trying to do with the internet. Google's trying to take over the internet. That's definitely happening. So if you're going with a social media platform that's owned by Google, or that Google's endorsing, you're going to get a page rank boost. If you're going with the social media platform that Google is against, like Facebook, and you have a huge following on there, you will get a boost for big following, but not nearly as much as if you would have been on Google Plus or YouTube, because they own those. And Facebook is trying to have their own search engine market, so of course, Google have, and they do not tell you what it is, because as soon as someone finds out, they change it, because it gets abused. If somebody understands that the way to get up times, and even if they've got a really crappy website that's spamming or scamming people, they're going to be placing at the top. So Google will change that algorithm. So they don't tell anyone. It's a top secret algorithm. They don't share it with people. You have to guess. Basically have to guess. And that the guessing is educated guessing. It's done through data mining, but Google will never release publicly how to place top page. It's all a guessing game. The more you work with it though, the more you can understand things that are more important. Does that answer your question a little bit better?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. I'm going to retrack here. So here's the analytics spreadsheet, okay? I can find out what keywords are here. Flight school, how to become a pilot, flight school, Delta Connection Academy. These are some of their competitors. Basically, they have their competitors' keywords into their website, so that when their person's searching for the competitor, they're going to pop up too. It's like, hey, you're looking for Delta, but did you know that we also exist in this area too? These are important things because typically when someone's looking for your competitor and they find you, the bounce rate's going to be a lot lower because they say, well, who's this guy? You know, I was looking for Target, but I just found Walmart and they're selling for cheaper. So they're going to stay longer and try to figure out who you are and why you're popping up in the type of Target. This is the big one right here, the source. Okay? Right here it tells me Google's our biggest source. People that are just typing into Google search. That's a big thing to know. Bounce rate of 30%, which is a good score, 1 in 3 people. Direct, which means they typed in that URL they've been here before. That bounce rate's a little bit higher. Okay? What does that tell you guys? Is that good news or is that bad news? The bounce rate's higher. First off, who thinks it's good news to have a higher bounce rate? Who thinks it's bad news? Bad news. But in the case of direct visits, it's not bad news. Typically when someone's coming back for the second time, they're coming back to check their facts. They're not coming back necessarily to stay as long as they did the first time. They found most of the information that they have. So a lot of people that are new to analytics will look at these things and draw the incorrect conclusions because they haven't seen enough of them to understand that it's not necessarily always bad to have a big bounce rate. That's why you have to hedge the information. That's why a basic report that just tells you bounce rate is not good. It's not actually, in this case, bad. The bounce rate is higher. It's pretty much neutral. It just means that they came back, they already knew what they were looking for, they went right to the page, and then they bounced off. Who knows what they were looking at? I don't know what page it was. That's why you have to go over to this side. This is where it tells me what landing page they came on and what the bounce rate was. So this page right here has a 7% bounce rate. All right, but this one has 60%. This one's over 60%. Financial assistance. Landing page means that's the page that they first entered your website on. If they're coming to your website right away and the first thing they see is financial assistance and they bounce, probably tells me that you're scaring them because they're seeing that there's not enough financial assistance to go to your school. So that tells me that page probably needs to get redone because it seems to me like you're scaring a lot of people and you're losing 300 people. But on the home page, which is the one that's just that straight / the second one down, that's a 34% bounce rate. That's a good rate to have on your home page because that means that they're looking at your home page, they're seeing all the options that are happening, and 2 out of every 3 people will stay and go deeper into your website. So the conclusion we can draw from this, and these are educated guesses, they're not for sure. The conclusion that I would say you can draw is, if I'm going to be drawing someone to my company, I'm not going to immediately try to close the deal. I'm not going to drive them to a place where they can buy. I'm not going to drive them to a place where they need to sign up or call. And I'm definitely not going to drive them to a place that talks about how expensive my academy is. I'm going to drive them to the place where it's the home page because I'm going to try to woo them. I want them to get to know our brand before I try to sell them. Typically, pages that are dealing with purchasing, like the final shopping cart, you don't want to drive people to that page. And a lot of old school marketers thought that was the thing to do because it was like, well, if they get there, they're going to buy or die. But that's not good. People go to the internet now, first to seek information, second to check pricing, and then third to buy. But if you sell them before they even get to figure out who you are and what other prices are of your competitors, then they're just going to bounce right away. Especially if they don't know how much you cost. All right, let's look at traffic flow. So this is a cool one that I think is one of the most important things to look at. This is what's called traffic flow, okay? Right here is where they first landed on the website. These are different pages on the website. This, the first interaction, is after they clicked, where did they go? And it goes on and on and on. After the second click, after the third click, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. I think this one goes on for like 15 plus. But what's important to look at is at the very top, 20,000, okay? That's how many people first came to the website. And I think this is over a span of 1 month. This is over a span of 1 month. They had 20,000 people come to the website. The most important thing is that after they click once, you don't want a lot to drop off. They're still at 12,000, and that sounds like a lot. That's actually a pretty good number to have after the first click. The next click, still 6.5, all the way down to the 10th click. They still have almost 1,000 people, and that's a really long time to stay on a website, guys. It's a long time. They basically have been going from the home page to the about page to the about our classes to financial assistance to contact an agent, back to the home page, back to another page. It's a lot of people to stay on, and that's a long time. So when I look at this traffic flow, I'm saying this is good. This is a good flow. But at the same time, you can always do better. Okay? So when looking at this traffic flow, ways to look where how can I improve? Because that's what you always want to do. You always want to do better. This red line is where people were dropping off. So after they came to the website, it looks to me like the most people that dropped off came from the home page. So if we need to make some improvements, we should probably look at the home page. Okay? You guys see here this big red waterfall? That's basically a red light. Think of the traffic flow as going through traffic in the city. A red light means that they can't get through or they don't want to get through. Yellow light means that half of them got through, but half of them didn't really get through. And then a green light means that pretty much everyone went to that page, moved on to the next spot. You want as many yellow and green lights as possible and as few red lights as possible to keep the traffic moving through your website, because that's how you make sales. This is a good page. It's a very small waterfall. This is a bad page, okay? And that's the home page. That is the worst page out of this. So we got to figure out why exactly that's happening. And to do that, I use what's called in-page analytics. In-page analytics, anyone ever heard of, what do they call it, heat something? Heat map. Anyone ever heard of a heat map? Yeah. This is basically Google Analytics heat map. I want to put this big. So it tells me right here, I gotta show it, show color, and browser size. Okay, so it's gonna give a different color to whoever's clicking on it. Red is good, blue is cold. Admissions is not something that people click on a lot, but tuition and funding, international students, contact us is a really big one. As you go down, it's going to start showing this little orange line, okay? What this means, guys, is this means that 90%, that little button right there that I have my cursor over, says that 10% of the people can see below the orange line. In other words, people that come to your website, 90% of the people will see above the orange line without scrolling down, and 10% cannot. You want that orange line to be below anything that you think is important, because you don't want them to have to scroll down to find the important information. So looking at this home page, where are some areas that we can improve? We know that the home page is the one where most people drop off. Okay, but now we have to draw a conclusion. We have to mine the data and we have to report to this company what exactly is going on this home page. It's because there's so many people who drop off. To do this, we want to look first at what is clicked on the most. Okay? And second, whatever's clicked on the most, is it above the fold, which is above that orange line? Is it above the fold? Looking at this, what kind of conclusions do you guys see? Here's the important things. And then below this is the unimportant things. Or should be. Did anybody see any red below this orange line? Right there, right? So 5% of the people were clicking on this, but they had to scroll all the way down to get there. And very few people click on this, but it's above the fold. So what kind of conclusion can we draw there?
Change your placement.
Change the placement. Exactly. And it's just one tiny change. Guys, something that's really important to know, there was a client that we work with that does massages in this area, and she wasn't doing any sales. And it was her page, the final page, after 8 interactions, she got to this page and said, buy a gift certificate or set up an appointment, okay? She wasn't making any sales, and she was getting hundreds of visits to her website. And she's like, I don't know what's going on. And I looked at the analytics, and I said, here's the problem. Your page that talks about buying something is not looking very good. No one's buying from you because that page, when they get there, looks really scammy. It's like big, bright red call here. It's a contact us, but it's not like contact us in a modern way. It's like a sign-up form, you know, first name, last name, email address. Like, people don't want to do that to make an appointment, okay? They want to add a button that lets them auto-schedule an appointment. So they want to open up a menu like at a hospital that shows all of your available times. And I said, you need to put that on that page. She's like, I'm not going to do that. And I said, why? And she's like, because I don't know when it's going on. I have to check my email every morning. I have to check when people have signed up. And I was like, do you want to make money from this lady, or do you not want to make money? And she was like, fine, I'll put on the schedule appointment. She put down on that page a spot where they could schedule an appointment instead of a sign-up form, and she immediately made 5 sales the next week. And those clients, if you look lifetime value, were worth $1,000 each. So she made $5,000 in sales in 1 week because she made one tiny change. And that's how important it is to look at these analytics. With one small change, especially when you get a company like this that gets 20,000 visits per month, one tiny change can be worth thousands of dollars.